Us. We are going to begin. The recording is in progress, as Zoom has reminded us, and we are going to begin here in just one moment. We have a few people still connecting to audio here, so we'll give them a chance to get fully logged in, and we'll get started here momentarily. Erica and or Kat Eigelbach, if you could do me a favor and just confirm that one of you are seeing my screen and that it's coming through clearly, please.
Yeah, looks good.
Great. All right. Again, I want to welcome you all tonight to our online MBA information session. We're very excited to have you here tonight and are very excited to welcome you to the College of Business and the University of Louisville. We're really excited to talk about our program here tonight and what exactly it is, what exactly we have designed and built, and how you might potentially find yourself to be a great fit in that program. And we hope that you will. But before we get too far into this, I do want to acknowledge some of the members of our team that we have on the call tonight. We have several members of the College of Business who are both professionals in the College of Business and some of our current and former students for the online MBA. And I want to thank each and every one of them for their contributions tonight. They will also be the ones, as far as some logistics go, as we kind of set this up, who can help monitor the chat. And so if you have questions as we go along tonight, I would strongly encourage you to drop those into the chat. Many of our members on the team will be able to answer those. And if not, we'll certainly bring them up during the conversation and make sure that we have a chance to attend to them. At the worst case scenario, we don't get to them during the session itself. We're going to save some time at the end for anyone who's interested to just unmute, weigh in, and ask their questions, or share their comments, and we're going to be happy to answer them. So I just, again, want to acknowledge some of our team members on the call tonight. Based on the order in which I'm seeing here, we've got our current fall 2020 class president of the online MBA cohort, Antigona Mahani, who is with us. I want to thank her for being here tonight. We have our online programs office director, Kat Eigelbach, with us tonight. I want to thank her again for joining us, and thank all of our participants here, including Catherine Honegger, our fall 19 class vice president, and also one of the first and few groups of alumni that we have as part of the online MBA. Stephen Swann, who comes to us from our MBA office. Many of you are already familiar with Stephen, having had some conversations with him. But if you hadn't had a chance to see Stephen, you might be able to see his face there on the screen in front of you. Diana Robinson, who is our spring 21 class president for the online MBA cohort. Very excited to see her on tonight. Erica Halls, who's our online student support coordinator for our online programs office here in the College of Business. So thankful for her. She's also running some of the behind the scenes here. So some of the recordings and the chat features and things she'll certainly be able to help you with if you have any challenges with that. And I think we've got most of our folks here. And again, thank you all for being on here, including our prospective students. We are excited to answer your questions tonight. And we're going to start by just sharing some information about the program, which is something that I always love to do. And I want to introduce myself here first properly. My name is Dr. Zach Goldman. I'm the program director of our online MBA program here in the College of Business at the University of Louisville. And I am just thrilled tonight to get a chance to kind of share what we've built and what we envision your contributions being to the online MBA program, because it's an evolving program. It's a program that is still relatively young, and it's a program that still has quite a few amazing accomplishments in its short history that I want to share with you all tonight and share with you what you might be joining into here very shortly. So the first thing that's been on your screen now for a short while, and I suspect many of you have had a chance to read it, is the origins of the online MBA program. We wanted to design a program that catered to working professionals who have busy schedules, most of which can sometimes be unpredictable. And we know that it's hard to commit to a typical 6 to 9 or a weekend class or anything that you might see that's out there in the MBA circles. And so online MBAs have become quite popular, and we know that. And yet we know that many online MBAs unfortunately sacrifice quality just to get a program online. And that's something that we firmly believe at the University of Louisville cannot happen, should not happen. And we've got some of the very best as far as faculty goes and some of our support staff here who have helped us to create and deliver a fantastic online MBA program that we're really proud to share with you tonight. And so what does that program look like? I'm going to hit the highlights and I'm going to be brief because I've got several colleagues who are also going to be speaking tonight. But I want to hit the highlights. And of course, again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Make sure we get a chance to answer them tonight because that's the ultimate goal. We want to make sure everybody walks away from this call tonight having a very clear understanding about what our program is, but also how you can be a critical part of that program going forward. So when we say it's a program designed for flexibility, designed for the everyday working professional, what exactly does that mean? Well, number one, it means that our courses are asynchronous. It's part of the hallmark defining features of our program is that it can be completed at any time, anywhere. And so you're going to hear from a few of our current and former students tonight about some of the circumstances that they were facing when they went to the program, some of the team members that they have, which I'll also elaborate on shortly, and all the different places and times in which people intersect and interact with this program. And so that's what we mean by asynchronous. There's not a standard time that you're logging on. 6 p.m. on a Tuesday is not a normal thing, right? It's a normal thing for an information session because we want to have a chance to engage you and answer your questions. But at the same time, we have designed a program that can be completed at possibly 2 in the morning, if that's when you're available. If you're working a night shift, if you're working different hours that are just unpredictable. If you have a family at home that sometimes just has crazy schedules themselves, you're looking at the proud father of a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I know exactly that sometimes they don't operate under our typical 8 to 5 schedules that we would like them to operate under. So we've designed a program here that I firmly believe addresses the needs of those individuals, that addresses the needs of the working professional who also has life outside of work, but who is invested and interested in improving their future through the earning of an MBA degree. And that's what we've designed this program to be, and that's what we mean by asynchronous. Now, when and how do you take these classes then if you can take them at any time? Does that just mean everything's available at all the times and I can just start making my way through? No, it doesn't. We've also provided structure. We know that there is a structure that is needed to earn an MBA and to get the learning outcomes that are required to make sure you get the most out of that degree. An MBA is no easy feat. Let me be very clear tonight. Online, in person, doesn't matter. An MBA degree is a challenging degree that will push you, and it's designed to push you. But at the same time, we want to offer that flexibility so that it's pushing you while still allowing you to do the responsibilities that you've already committed to. So when I say we've committed ourselves to a structure, it's one class at a time, and we'll talk about those classes in just one moment, that run 5 weeks at a time. And so when you start to do the math and you look at our website, you look at the credit hours, again, we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. You'll see that this is a program that is less than 2 years in duration, roughly 20 months that you will be participating in this online MBA. And yet we've designed it in a way, and I firmly believe this is a powerful way of structuring a program, that you're focusing your attention, your interest, and your abilities on one subject matter, some of which will come easier to you depending on your background, some of which will come harder and challenging to you, but you're focusing your attention 5 weeks at a time for a particular subject matter. And again, you'll see what that looks like in just a moment. So as far as the quality piece, I mentioned this here at the top of the page, it's the same quality that we firmly believe in for our seated programs. We are fortunate enough here in the College of Business to have a multitude of graduate programs. We have our Masters of Science in Business Analytics, the MSBA. We have our professional MBA, our full-time MBA. We've had a variety of MBA programs over the years catered to different individuals. And this one is, again, that flexible option. But one of the things that we refused to do was to sacrifice quality. You're going to see faculty members in these classes that are the same faculty members who teach in our seated programs. These aren't individuals who we've just hired out and said, well, if they're online, we're going to get online people and we don't know who these people are. These are people that I personally work with every day. Many of the people on this call work with every day. And we are proud to stand by some of the best faculty that you'll find in the United States and in the entire world, to be quite honest with you, because the College of Business at the University of Louisville has some of those people. I've seen them myself, and I've worked at a couple of institutions that I know we have some of the best of the best. And so those are the individuals who have developed these courses and who lead these courses. But yet we also know online is different. Online is different than a seated environment. And we have designed teams to make sure that those differences are accounted for. And so that you as an individual, as a student, are getting the attention, the responsiveness, and the level of engagement that you need to succeed, even if you're participating in your coursework at 2 a.m, or ideally in other times that fit your schedule. And so that's what we mean by instructional teams. We've designed and built out, and you'll see this momentarily, a group of individuals, all with subject expertise, who are led by our core faculty members, and they are responsive to the needs that you have as prospective students. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of as the Online MBA program director. We also have designed all of these courses in the Blackboard system that the University of Louisville has adopted across our programs. And Blackboard, many of you have experiences with it already, some of which can be good, some of which can be bad, but we've taken the good and we've made the most of Blackboard. And I really think that the classrooms, which I'm going to preview for you in just a few minutes, have really been well designed. They've been designed through our partners with the Delphi Center. Some of you know who they are. Great colleagues and collaborators who specialize in online instructional design and online teaching. And we're so fortunate to have them as a resource and as a partner here at the University of Louisville. And so great opportunities await with the course design and the subject matter that's embedded within them. Lastly, some things that always come up, and I suspect we'll get a few questions. Again, encourage you, drop a few questions in that chat about these particular items. International trip. Some people see that on our website and they think, that sounds interesting. It is interesting, and you should be appealed by it because it's a fantastic opportunity. And I will tell you, and this is where most of us are quite aware of where we've been in the last year and a half, but COVID-19 has kind of put some halts and some restrictions on our traveling here in the College of Business. But I'm also very proud to tell you that the College of Business stands firm in their commitment to make sure that we offer international trips to our online MBA students. Now, when, where, how, those things are always being discussed, even to this day, because COVID-19 and the protocols around it are changing and evolving all the time. The countries that we have partnered with in the past are changing their own protocols, but we are looking every day, and we've got some of the best leaders in the College of Business at the top of this and dealing with this particular topic, because the international trip, which is something that's built in to the curriculum. So as you progress into those 5-week courses, eventually you make your way into an international trip. Now, it's not a 5-week international trip. Let me be very clear, but it's an international trip that fundamentally, in my opinion, changes how we see business if you've never looked at business outside the local context or the context that you're most familiar with. Because when we think about what it means to be a leader in business today, you have to understand globalization. You have to understand the different global impacts that are that are affecting us here today, either in Louisville, Kentucky, or wherever you may be joining us. And so that's what we mean by this international trip, really creating this transformative experience, because when you see some of the things outside of our normal bounds or outside of our normal context, it can change your perspective forever. And I don't mean to overstate or over-exaggerate that, but it's something that I have firmly believed in for quite some time. And I'm hopeful that even December of 2021, I will be traveling with some of our online MBA students, former and current, because we are that committed to making sure those trips happen. Again, questions to come on that, and I suspect there will be some. But the last thing I wanted to mention here is our electives. So our core is set. We progress you through the core because these are key areas that any MBA student has to understand if they are going to use their degree for the betterment of their career. But the electives are where you allow yourself to kind of take control of your education and decide where you want to take it, where you want to go. And so we're going to show you in just a few moments some of the elective options that are out there in our program for you, including the exciting opportunity to earn graduate level certificates that will carry over and carry with you into your career and will really make an impact going forward. All right. So I want to pause for a moment and just see, I have yet to monitor the chat, but I know some of my colleagues are doing a fantastic job of that if there are some questions coming in there. But Erica and or Kat, if you could just let me know, are there any comments coming in that require some immediate attention or addressing?
Not yet, Zach. I don't see any questions so far.
All right, thank you all. All right, so one thing I haven't really mentioned is the fact that our program, depending on when you start, becomes a cohort. And that's a really significant part, because I will be very honest. If I was some of you listening to me talking right now, I'd say, yeah, that sounds great. My graduate advisor, my PhD advisor once told me I sound like a used car salesman. I don't know if that's true or not. But if you're thinking the same thing, you're like, this guy's selling a pretty good program here, but what's the catch? The catch for many people, when you think about an online MBA program, is this feeling of, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just me and my computer, especially these asynchronous programs, right? I mean, if I'm on my computer at 2 in.the morning, no one else is on there with me. How am I, if I have questions, how do I deal with that? You know, what's that look like, right? Am I going to be alone in this? Is this me by myself for 20 months? And the short answer is no. The short answer is just no. You are not alone in this. And part of the reason why is because we have adopted and integrated a cohort model. And what does that actually mean? Well, when you enter into the program, again, 5-week courses, one course at a time that you're progressing into, you take those courses with the same group of people. And here's the beauty of it. We've designed these courses in a way that you're actually interacting with these other professionals. My very next slide is going to show you who some of these professionals are, who are some of the current online MBA students. And I'll be honest with you, it's an impressive list. And you may be saying to yourself, I don't know, is that, am I up to that standard? I suspect that you are, because you're here tonight. You've shown an invested interest and you're interested in improving your own career. But you're going to see tonight, there's a group of individuals here in our online MBA program who have already accomplished quite a bit in their professional careers, and yet they're interested in more. And that's something that as the program director, I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for that student, that professional who wants to take the next step. And because this part right here, this cohort model is why, because we're building groups of individuals who are truly going to be connected in ways that they don't even fully understand when they come into the program. And so what do we mean by cohorts? Again, this is the idea that you come in and you stay in with the same group. Now, have we had some opportunities in the past where, I just had an individual today reach out to me and said, look, I started a new job at Apple and I'm moving to California. I need to take like an X amount of time to get that situated, and then I'm starting again. We work with students. Let me be very clear. Just because you start and progress with students at a certain time doesn't mean that you don't have options, okay? But we know that when we pair people together and we give you team members, somebody to go through this challenge together with, you're gonna be, for better or for worse, with these individuals in a way that really creates some meaningful relationships. And you may be saying that that's not true. I don't believe in that. My best man, my best man in my wedding was the guy who I sat in graduate school with for hours and hours at a time, right across the desk from mine, because we were in cubicles. So I did a seated program. And I saw this guy for 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours a week, just sitting in that office, right? Working our butts off, trying to get this done. And those challenges, right, bring people together in ways that again, it's hard to explain. And so we pair you not just as a cohort, but also within teams. And we do so in a way that's very strategic. We don't just draw names out of a hat and say, oh, Brad is with Susan and on their way. We really think about, okay, how do we create diverse teams that have different backgrounds that mirror realistic work teams, right? Because if you're in a team, you're not putting in a team of 5 engineers and all 5 engineers are always working together all the time. It's kind of redundant. right? You start to question, why do we have 5 engineers doing all the same thing? You start to pair engineers with the sales team. You start to pair a sales team with the marketing team, marketing team with the accounting team. And you have to figure out, okay, we're running a business here. How do we transition? How do we transcend these aisles that have so often defined our roles in a way that really create effective partnerships? And that's what we have tried to do here in the Online MBA. And it's something that I really think is a powerful point with this model. Now, as far as who are, again, those team members, let me talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's an important part of this. You don't want to just be paired with anybody, right? You don't want to just be paired with somebody who's, the traditional slacker that we might see in an undergraduate class. And there's always some risk of that when you put people together, right? But we've created an infrastructure that I believe combats that, because we, again, have a group that is extremely diverse. And we also put infrastructure in place to make sure you're getting the most out of your teams. And so, for instance, my own course, which I teach in our online MBA program, I'm the second professor who you get to have here shortly. If you enroll in the fall cohort, you'll have me this fall. And we actually create a team charter. I teach a management communication class. One of the things we know is that when you document expectations, it can really reinforce what behaviors are needed to be successful. So we'll build that into the program. We'll build it into the curriculum so that you're getting the most out of those teams. And you create these contracts that would be very realistic to what you would expect from teams in a professional environment. Now, again, I said these teams are diverse and I said they're valuable, but it's not just my perspective. If it was just my perspective, I would tell you, take it with a grain of salt and move on. But here's some of our current students, and I cannot speak enough to not just these students, but all of our current students. You've got our recent graduate in Melanie Mador from our fall 19 cohort. She really talks about this in her comments about what she liked about the program, the cohort layout, the diverse teams. I didn't pay her for that comment, I promise you. Michael Henderson, who's at GE, he had mentioned here that he really loves the interaction with this cohort and the group that he's in. It really helped him to network, which he used to get a promotion at GE Appliances recently. And then Raymond Shields here, who Raymond and I have had several conversations throughout the curriculum where he's really fascinated and just working with different members of his team. He's an investment banker down in Nashville, but he's working with team members who he would never normally interact with and getting such an opportunity to learn from them. These are the types of benefits that I firmly believe come from being as part of the cohort model. So again, just very briefly here, I mentioned that diversity. Our students come from all over and they represent so many different backgrounds, and it would be a disservice to even try to capture all those backgrounds tonight. So I won't. I will simply just say, you can see here all the different industries that really are core to our economy. Many of the significant employers, particularly here in this local Louisville region, but even broader than that, you can see our students come from all over the United States. And my personal goal, and I don't broadcast this, I don't promote it on the website or anything like that. At some point, I'll get all 50 states. We'll get every student, or we'll get a student from all 50 states in the online MBA. That's a goal that I have, because I just think it's so neat to see students from North Dakota, students from Washington, students from California, students from Utah. And I get to interact with these individuals, and you get to interact with these individuals. And that's the thing that really makes our program special, in my opinion. And they represent some very significant and powerful organizations in our economy. All right. So again, what is our courses? What does the curriculum look like? And I'm going to pause for one moment. I haven't had a chance to check the chat recently. Kat and Erica, anything there that I need to make sure I address before I move forward?
You're good. Looks like everybody's saving their questions for the end.
All right. I also like to think maybe I'm just knocking all these questions out of the way. Maybe that's possible, but we'll see. Well, maybe there'll be a flood of questions at the end, which I still encourage. But as far as the courses themselves, it's kind of hard to see on this screen, but we send out this roadmap when you enter into the program that really gives you a sense of what's in front of you. And so you can see here, or you might be able to see here if you squint small enough, you take 3 classes a traditional semester, and semesters in the online MBA are kind of an ambiguous term. We still use them because the University of Louisville uses them, and you'll see them in things like Blackboard, which I'll show you in just one moment. But really what this is, again, a course every 5 weeks, okay? And so as you think about a semester, typically academic semesters, depending on what institution you attend, anywhere from 15 to 16 weeks is the standard academic semester that you'll see in the undergraduate curriculum in particular, and graduate schools are always a little different in some ways. And so we take 3 classes every semester, 5 weeks long, so a total of 15 weeks that you would be taking these courses in. But again, it's one at a time. So one at a time. So that first semester is a preview. You would start your online MBA experience taking applied microeconomics with Dr. Audrey Klein and the instructional team there that she has. And they would not only teach you the foundations of economics and applied microeconomics, they also welcome you to the program. I want to make sure there's no question there, and I'm happy to pause and answer if there is. I heard some feedback on my end. All right, no worry. I'll keep moving then. If there is questions, I take no offense to being interrupted. In fact, please do so. And then again, I'm not going to go through all the classes here, but very briefly, you take applied microeconomics, strategic managerial communication, and introduction to statistics and data analytics. That's your first semester. You're taking those 5 weeks at a time. Starts in August through September, September through October, October through the end of November there, right at the beginning of December. And then we give all of our online MBA students a pretty significant break there over the holidays to make sure that you have time to kind of recharge and reboot and start again there in the second semester. And that's what a typical semester looks like, is 3 classes, 5 weeks at a time. Things get a little bit more, I don't want to say challenging, they get a little bit more complicated in the summer, because those have been traditionally when we do our international trips, is typically in May. But COVID has forced a hand here, which I actually think, and there's silver linings in some of the last year and a half. It's been a rough last year and a half for a lot of people. But one of the kind of benefits coming out of this for the College of Business is that we are anticipating 2 different international trip times going forward, beginning in December and then again in May. So December, May would be those opportunities. If individuals chose to spend some of their winter break doing that, they certainly could. If not, you still have the summer, early May or early summer May options as an opportunity to complete that international trip. Now, I want to mention this briefly because it always does come up. Is the international trip required? If I can't go, does that somehow prevent me from finishing the online MBA? And the short answer is no. You do have an alternative. I will be very honest with you though. It's hard to come up with an alternative that rivals a 10+ day trip in Greece. I mean, if I'm sitting here in my office in the College of Business at U of L, take the trip, right? Take the trip. It's included in your curriculum. It's a great perk. It's a great benefit. But we also understand that sometimes work comes in the way, family comes in the way. I've had to prevent my own travel with the international trip for 2.5 years. But I'm really hoping, I've told my wife, I tell her about every week. It's like, look, don't forget December. I'm hoping to travel abroad. I'm still waiting official COVID approval, but don't forget, right? And so we are really optimistic. We're hoping to give every student at least 3 opportunities to travel under some of the new guidelines that we're developing currently with COVID-19, because we know that there are going to be some things that just restrict people from traveling. But at the same time, we want to make sure you have the opportunity. And it's something I think is a strong benefit to our program. So I need to keep moving forward here. And again, we'll circle back if there are questions. But some of the trips that we've gone on in the past, South Africa, India, China, Brazil, Hungary, Czech Republic, Peru. We've seen a variety of trips. We've gone on a variety of trips, and a few pictures here shown for you. But we are certainly looking at that. Even today, I had a conversation with some of our staff about this. And we're really passionate about getting back to these international trips in a safe but transformative way. And so there is a link that maybe one of my colleagues can drop in the chat, or if not, I will certainly do so here in a short while on the College of Business webpage that has a recent video, and I say recent within the last couple of years, of some of our trips and some photos and some memories that were captured there. that I watched just the other night and really got me excited personally for that trip that's upcoming. So I hope that you will do the same if you're interested in doing that. All right, real quickly, I want to touch on the electives that I previewed earlier, because one thing that I want to mention here is, again, we stress and prioritize options for you as a student. And so you have really two tracks that you can take as far as options go as your electives. You can take the individualized track, which is that, here is 20, 30, 40 electives to choose from, kind of pick and choose what interests you. Right? So maybe I'm interested in this. I've always wanted to learn more and I never had the opportunity. Here's my chance. I'm going to take it. Right? And you start doing that across the board and you end up selecting the number of electives that you need to graduate. The other track is, okay, I'm not necessarily interested in individualizing this. I want to make sure I get something that translates to a more comprehensive approach, right? So instead of individualizing an additional advanced accounting along with a marketing, along with this or something like that, I'm going to maybe specialize in something. I want to really move toward a direction of a certificate. And right now, the College of Business offers 5 graduate certificates that we include in your tuition. We include as an option. There's no additional fees, no additional cost to you as a student, as an opportunity to earn being an online MBA student. And so I was in a meeting about this even today, talking about, okay, logistically, how do we do that? How do we schedule it? And it's becoming more and more challenging as we offer more and more certificates, but we are committed to this, to making sure students who take our online MBA program get the opportunity, if they're interested, to earn a graduate certificate. Again, currently we offer 5, those being listed right here in front of you: managerial analytics, distilled spirits, family business, horse racing industry, and franchise management. And so you may have an individual interest in one of these areas, or again, you may choose to take a more individualized approach from specific courses, and that's certainly welcomed as well. One thing that I'll mention, and I know at least one person on this call has already taken advantage of this, is that you can also take professional MBA electives, because we're essentially sister programs. I've used that term. It's not an official College of Business term, but we're sister programs in the sense that we are very, very similar from our genetic DNA, other than the delivery, of course, us being online and our professional MBA being a seated program that meets at a standing meeting time. And so those who are local and or interested, who want to come to U of L's campus, you have the option. But I want to stress this, not a requirement. We have plenty of electives for you if you are not local and or not interested in doing this. But you also have the option of coming into the U of L campus, which I'm here tonight in the College of Business, and taking some of our classes right here in the building. And so we're quite proud of that as well, as an option for students. All right, 2 final points, and I'm over my time, so I will be very brief. I mentioned those teams, and what again does those teams even mean? Again, I'm going to show you an example because I think that's one of the best ways people learn. This is our financial accounting class that just finished a couple weeks ago for our most recent iteration. Led and developed by Dr. Julie Wong, who's a core faculty member, a full-time faculty member, a tenured faculty member here in the College of Business, in our accounting department, and fantastic scholar in her own right as far as being able to understand the nuances of accounting. And yet we want to make sure that every individual student has somebody that can respond immediately to their questions and engage them when they have misunderstandings. And so we have built a team around somebody like Dr. Wong, who can engage students in our individual sections of our online MBA classes, so that you always have a contact person. You always have somebody you can reach out to, and you always have somebody who you can expect a response from very, very rapidly. And that's a powerful thing to have when you feel like you're just staring at a screen and you don't have somebody there on the other side. We have people on the other side. In fact, we give you a variety of opportunities to interact with those people on the other side if you're interested. And Dr. Wong is also available in this context to make that available. So we are quite proud of the instructional teams that we've built. Each of these individuals have extensive backgrounds in their own rights. We've got individuals like Derek Wunderlich, who is with Humana, He is the, I think, director of data science. We've got Dr. Zhao, who's working at GE. We've got Shirag, who is working at Brown-Forman. So we've got all these great industry experiences who can help translate the content that we've developed as far as these instructional teams. And that's a powerful learning tool in and of itself. All right, the last thing, and I promise this is truly the last thing, the course preview that I mentioned very briefly earlier, Co. Selfishly, I'm just going to preview my own because it's one that I know quite well, but it's also one that I think helps students understand how we lay out these courses and the intention of these courses. And so I need to stop sharing this screen so I can transition to another. And I want to show you exactly what your courses would look like. So you get a real sense of what can I expect come the start of my class. What does it look like? How do I navigate it? Is it complicated? Is it overwhelming? Or is this something I can actually do? That's something I want to share with you. So give me 30 seconds to transition some of this stuff. And in the meantime, Erica, Kat, or any of our other team members, if there were questions that I did not get a chance to attend to, please let me know.
Yeah, just someone had asked, Lloyd asked about the international trip and if the cost was included in tuition, and Catherine gave a great answer with, yeah, it is included. Students just have to pay for the travel expenses, so plane tickets to go.
Yeah, it's a great point. And we have a provider that organizes a lot of this for us and that we work with. And yeah, I think there's a couple things we can elaborate on there in just a moment if interested. Kat, can you confirm, since I just heard you, are you seeing my screen here?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So this is our Blackboard page. And again, if you're not familiar with Blackboard, this is the standard, I don't want to say template because you can customize what it looks like, but it's the standard interface, I guess is probably the best word I can use right now, because it's what you see most often. You see the tabs off to the left. You can default this to be whatever you want as far as the home page goes, but we really like to keep the announcements here front and center. So students, if there's something there, number one, we'll send this to you in an email. Faculty are good about making sure that you get a couple different reference points, but these would be sent in emails, and then also you'll be seeing them housed here on your Blackboard page. But I just want to show you what an actual week might look like. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of information here that I'm not going to spend time with right now, but you'll get access to the syllabus. You'll get information on where to start, what to do at the very beginning, who to contact, how to contact them, when they can be contacted, all the opportunities to engage them. But I want to, again, spend some time right here, just picking a random week, week one, and let you see what a course looks like. And so each course will start with learning objectives. It's something that's critical to what we do. You see exactly what the goals are for a particular week that you're expected to be able to know or demonstrate at the end of it. We're going to see here different things that you'll be asked to do, some of them being assignments, some of them being, more broadly speaking, task or responsibilities. So for instance, read the course syllabus. That would be something that students would be expected to do or asked to do in week one. And then from there, you see some different things listed. A few readings. Some of us faculty use some textbook providers that have some resources that would connect to this. I myself, and I'll just click on this briefly, use a couple of articles, brief articles, some of which I've even written myself to be exactly what it is that I need our students to know. And so you see there some information about the readings. I want to go down though, because I think what people often don't recognize about the online MBA is how does it work? And I even had a support member, a team member, see this for the first time today, and they were like, "Wow, that's really kind of neat." We have created content here. Oh, a very large screen, and sometimes it changes the format. I'm suspecting, Kat, you're not seeing this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just got that message about in a new window.
I'm gonna have to stop that for just one moment here. Tell me if you're seeing this.
Yeah, it opened up the RISE module.
Great. So we've created content that's packaged in ways that is around that asynchronous component that I started this conversation with. And so, for instance, how do I start this? Week 1 of this course, Dr. Goldman's communication class, which I failed to mention earlier. But okay, how do I start? Well, here's a preview. I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to watch Dr. Goldman explain what I need to focus on this week. And then I'm going to get into the content itself. And so some of it's going to be some text that I need to read, a combination of some videos, some different things that I'm going to click through. I'm going to go through some different exercises here. But I want you to notice something. It's not all reading. It's not all click, 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 click. Some of it's really going to challenge you to say, okay, you need to engage in this. Now you need to show that you can do this, that you understand this. And that's what I mean by the fact that you can be on at 2 a.m. and still learn from these content, from these modules. Because look, for instance, for this example, this module is about how to be more concise, right? It's tailored toward writing, but it could be used in a couple of ways. And I should probably follow it myself since I'm 5 minutes over schedule. But we can look here and click and say, okay, some ways in which we can do this, some strategies that we're going to talk about. I want to see an example. Here's a pretty wordy introduction. How do I improve that? Here's what was most important. Why was that important? Well, when I go back and look, I can see some of this wasn't relevant. Now I'm going to do it myself, right? Now I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to figure out, okay, how do I reframe this so that it is more concise? And this is just one example of a very small window of the online MBA. This is one class. Economics is going to be very different from that, and statistics and on down the road. But then you get feedback based on the submission that you do. Right. And it's on down the list there. You'll see that we can go through the modules and it tracks your progress. So notice I haven't fully completed some of these modules because I'm kind of skipping through them with you all. And I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like. And so it's not giving me full credit there for some of these things. It's saying, look, you got a little bit to go back and finish. But we've really created some content here that I think understands those needs of the students, and you're going to be able to work at your own pace but still get the learning objectives that we want you to get as faculty members. So that's just a brief preview. I'm happy to spend a little bit more time there, but I don't want to take the time of my colleagues who I'm really excited to hear from, because these are also individuals much like yourself. These are individuals who, for some of them, just a few months ago, were just like yourselves, considering this, thinking about this. Maybe you've already enrolled, but there's still some questions remaining. And so again, we've got 3 colleagues on the call tonight, and I consider them colleagues because I consider all of our students to be colleagues. These are our working professionals. They're not 18-year-old undergraduate students. They've had their own share of experiences that they bring to the table that we can learn from. And so that's why I use the word colleague. But I want to share with you their information here. So I'm just going to go back to my PowerPoint slide for a moment and introduce and welcome 3 individuals who I'm very proud to call either our current students and or our graduates at this point. Antigona Mahani, Deanna Robinson, and Catherine Honegger, 3 individuals who I've had the great fortune of working with myself. One of which, Antigona, is our fall 2020 class president from the fall 20 cohort, also a member here of the University of Louisville. Diana Robinson is a member of our spring 21 cohort, the class president of that group. She is a proud member of Humana. And Catherine Honegger, one of the groups of our first alumni, as I mentioned earlier, a proud member of Kellogg. And so I'm just so thankful that the 3 of them have agreed to be on here tonight. And I think as much as you all have listened and tolerated me talking for the last half an hour, you may find even more benefit from hearing directly from their mouth their take on the program. So Antigona, if you don't mind, I'd like to start with you, please.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Goldman and everyone at College of Business. You probably hear me say this all the time to you guys, how thankful I am to have such support, but also to get this opportunity to talk to the future MBA students. And that is perhaps has been one of my favorite part of not just being the cohort president, but also just being an MBA student. So to give you an overview where I came from and why I decided to go back to school, it was after 12 years. And I when they're thinking, this is just going to be really difficult, there's going to be challenges, going to push me. And you mentioned that word push, and it does do that. But what it also did for me is just build character, and it allowed me to realize that I too can do this. And it's something that I think it's should be a proud moment in terms of being able to complete such an amazing program coming from one of the great college of business, but having this flexibility to do it in your own terms and do it in your own time. And that's something that I didn't have that anywhere else. And someone who just got married, who moved into a new place and just started a new job and started the MBA, my plate was full. And like everyone would imagine, there was days where I thought, well, my goodness, I'm going to miss this. And I realized that no, I didn't miss anything. I just went right back to the Blackboard and I read the module, which are great, by the way, or being able to ask the professor and, having that opportunity to talk to the professor. It's no different than actually going to their office, where I would just schedule a Teams meeting and have from 30 minutes to an hour session. And just as recent as 2 weeks ago, I was facing some challenges with a project and I asked for help and I received the help. And as a result of that 1 hour conversation of him really explaining everything to me, I was able to make an A on that paper. But that just shows the commitment that professor has for his students. And no matter, just because it's online, it does not change the fact that these course lectures, everyone at College of Business, the understanding that these students are here to learn and be part of the College of Business, and they understand that need to support that mission of that students being able to feel like truly a student. And just because you're not sitting down at the College of Business classroom, which you can, and I encourage everyone to do that if they have opportunity to do. But that's just one, I would say, factor. But I could list things of all these great things that have given me so far, and it's only been into the 10th month now, and I have already gained so much experience in that. I use it in my day-to-day job and use it personally and professionally, and that's just something that I didn't think I needed it, but being here allowed me to understand that these are the skills that I'm able to use, whether I'm leading a team or working with a coworker. All these skills that I've learned, especially in Dr. Goldman class, that's something that you're really going to learn how to handle, being in a team. It gives you those firsthand an understanding of what a professional is, and that preparation. It's never too old to learn, and certainly this has been a reason for me being in the program. And again, just having the opportunity to be with a great group of people coming from all parts of the US, especially our cohort, with being 120 students from pretty much almost every state. And I'm not going to say all 50 states, but we have a student that's in Hawaii. So hopefully when I go to Hawaii, I'll just ring him up and say, we were in the same cohort. But that just really gave me a way of connecting with everyone in every state. And that's just been an incredible journey and opportunity that this program gave me, truly. So I leave it with that. Please, you have my contact information. My mailbox is open. Whether you just have a questions or need help, I'm more than happy to be able to direct you in whatever way I could. But this is the right school, and if you need any more any more reasons, I will list them again. So thanks so much, everyone. And I'm again learning just as much as I've learned 10 months ago. So
Excellent. I'm Diana Robinson. Thank you, Antigona. That's perfect. And it's really a pleasure to go after you because you've said most of the things that I did, so I don't have to worry about that. It's perfect. So a couple of the things that I really wanted to highlight, especially on an online environment, is you feel sometimes, I know I did when I applied and got in, and I was all excited, and I'm like, what did I just do? Oh my goodness, it's the pandemic and I'm gonna work at, it's just crazy. And will I get the same amount of support that I would if I went in every day or twice a week to see a professor? The way that they have set up this online MBA, your first class that you'll have, Dr. Goldman talked about Dr. Klein. I cannot stress to you how much a blessing that woman is. She helps ease you into this whole craziness. And I saw as part of the chat talking about, not very strong in math. Hi, how are you? I'm not either. But Dr. Klein will take that time with you and walk you through it. And just talking about the support, one of the things I also tell everybody is, during that first course, it was my very last day. I was turning in an assignment and something went wrong. And there was a hiccup in the system. And of course, my first class, I'm getting an A and I'm trying to submit and it's not there. So I emailed Dr. Klein and I'm like, I know in the syllabus, it says we need to do it through Blackboard, but it's not working for me. Can I send it to you just in case? And she's like, well, sure, but what's going on? And so I explained the situation and she's like, oh, no, let me help you. So this professor who had no reason to, other than the kindness of her heart and wanting to see me succeed, between her and Erica, who is on as well, helped guide me and fix this problem that I was freaking out about and calmed me down and really showed me that I'm not alone in this, even though you may feel alone sometimes, but you're not. And then the next course that you have is, like you said, Dr. Goldman, and that's when you really learn about your group. There is no other option but to get in there with your group and learn the personalities and learn who you are going to be with for the next 19 months and learning how to rely on everybody. And it's just such a neat experience that, yes, we are alone at home, right? But we had my example I like to give is we had a project we were working on. One of the gentlemen in my team, he's in Germany, and he was at a child's birthday party, but he wanted to help with the team project. So he can see the Teams chat that we have and what we have on the screen, and he could text me from Germany to tell me what he thought we should add, and then I would relay it to another man who was in Atlanta. So it was just the neatest thing that we had this really crazy cross communication across countries, across the ocean, and we got an A on the project. So it was just awesome to be able to have that experience. It is a hard MBA. It's not an easy one. It's not something that people will look at your diploma and go, oh, no, this is truly U of L, not online U of L. This is U of L. And all of the professors that I've had so far have been so dedicated to my success. And I don't ever think that there's been an email I've sent that I have not gotten a response within hours. Like, it's crazy. Some of your professors are like, here's my phone number, text me, I will answer. So we had, all of those kind of conversations with your professor, and it's just really wonderful. And the community that you start to build, from the folks who have come before me to the folks, you all who will come after us. I can't explain to you how great that this program has been. And again, I did not come from an academic background. I did not come, my undergrad, I won't say what that GPA was, but coming into U of L, I have felt so supported that right now I have a 4.0, and like nobody believes it because I don't either. But because of the support I have gotten from all the professors and my teammates is just so wonderful and so critical to your success. And they have set up the program for that. And that's not something you really realize until you get into the meat and potatoes of it, but they have set you up for success. in this program. And thank you for setting us up for success. Catherine, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Diana. It's so funny. You said you didn't want to follow Antigona, and I don't want to follow you because you just took all of my talking points. Welcome to everyone this evening. Dr. Goldman told me when I got on the call that I am the first group of alumni to go through the program, which just feels crazy. 2 years ago, I was actually getting ready for my interview to be a part of the program. So it's so crazy that it's gone so fast in such a full circle already. This program was really great for me. Like Diana, I didn't have a lot of experience in my background. I waited 13 years after getting my bachelor's degree to come back for my MBA with zero math experience. So those were a couple of rough classes, but totally made it through with not only the help of my group and my cohort, but also the teachers. Like she said, they are just totally rooting for you every minute of the way. When she said that about the emails, I'm like, I wonder how long she's going to say that it took them to respond. Spot on, hours. I don't even think I would go 24 hours without hearing from them. Even if it was like a weird late at night email, you would hear back either if they were up doing, grading papers later or first thing in the morning. It was a really great feeling to know that I wasn't going to see them in person. I wasn't going to be in a classroom, but I still felt like my experience and my education was that top-notch classroom experience. And I'll tell you, for me, a lot of it revolved around the cohort. Being the very first cohort to go through, we stuck together as a group. Ours was a little bit smaller as the first one than you guys are going to have now. So we didn't have those breakout in teams for the professors, but really relying on those people who had the background in statistics to help me through statistics, and my group member that had the background in accounting to help me through accounting. I did not get my MBA degree by myself. I got it with the help of everyone in my cohort and in my group and the professors along the way. So I had a really great experience. I am around. You guys have my email if you have any additional questions that I can answer, being someone who's kind of removed from it now, but I really missed my time in the program. So I was happy when Dr. Goldman asked me to hop on the call to help. Just really missed the experience and had a great time getting my MBA.
Well, thank you to all three of you. It's so good to hear your comments, and with just to be very honest with you, to hear your experiences, it hits me. It makes sure it validates some of the things that we're doing. Some of the late nights that it takes, because the program didn't just happen overnight. It's a lot of work to run it, but we believe in what we're doing. Is the short version of it. And I don't just speak for myself on that one. I speak for our online MBA faculty. I meet with that group very, very regularly, and it's a group that cares. It's a group that they don't just see random names behind a computer screen. They see people, and I see three people right here that embody the exact types of characteristics that we look for in some of our online MBA students. So thank you to all three of you for your words, but more importantly, your contributions to the program as they are continuous and they continue to improve where we're going. So with that being said, I want to turn it over an open floor to additional questions. I think we've had a few come in to the chat. And so we'll definitely, if there are ones that I have not seen, which again, sharing my screen somewhat limits my viewing of the chat. But my colleagues here are all on standby. I'll ask them first. If you have seen comments that require either my or anybody else's immediate attention, please share them, and we'll address those questions. Otherwise, it's also an open floor for anybody who wants to unmute and weigh in. I welcome questions, comments, thoughts that you might have at this closing time here.
One student asked a question. I think maybe Catherine could speak well to this, having gone through the program. They say, for someone with a non-business background in undergrad, is there anything I should do to prepare for the coursework?
Yeah, thanks. I did not. I took the MBA math class. I think it's mbamath.com if that's still what it is. I used additional resources to kind of give myself a quick refresh before we started certain classes, but I did not do anything additional. I did purchase Grammarly just to help my paper writing, but that's about the only thing I did extra out-of-pocket costs to prepare for getting my MBA, and I feel like I was adequately prepared for classes. I think someone asked about hours per week per class. I did spend a little extra time per week per class in those math classes, but I do feel like I was taught the material. There were plenty of ways to absorb it. My group was a great help, and the professors also asked questions, did examples, and provided plenty of material to learn what you didn't have a background in.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll just echo one thing that was in the chat and related to Catherine's point that is new this year that we'll be doing every year going forward. We've created some resources, particularly an online MBA quantitative pre-work module. It's usually those subject matters, things like accounting, statistics, finance, that students feel like, ooh, my background did not prepare me for those things. We have tried to create a resource here that at least will be what we call the leveling up, that gets everybody on a relatively even playing field, so that you do enter those classes feeling much more comfortable. And it doesn't mean that it's going to completely substitute a 4-year background that somebody has in mathematics and that you're at the same level, but we do believe it lowers or decreases the gap, right? And it really gives you some solid ground to stand on, so that you understand, even from day one, some of the vocabulary and some of the perspectives that are being taken in classes like that, so that you don't feel behind. And some people are like, I already got it, I'm good, I'm ready for those types of courses. Then you'll breeze right through that. So that's very much a resource. And then yeah, I saw David's comment too, and I think Stephen might have just replied to it in the chat. But David, absolutely not. I mean, I mentioned this point earlier, but it's worth repeating. Our faculty in the online MBA are some of the same faculty that teach in our professional MBA. But at the same time, I will never diminish or dismiss our professional MBA. There are some great faculty there as well that teach outside of our program, but and we have some that teach outside the professional. But we are very much sister programs in that way. Same origins, very much same curriculum from the standpoint of the overall learning objectives. A few tweaks here and there just because of some of the delivery modes. But I speak pretty much every day. He probably gets tired of my phone calls to the program director of the professional MBA. And I can say that the majority of our students receive a very, very similar educational experience, only with a different modality that really is catered to each program. So hopefully that along with Stephen's comment addresses that point. Other questions, again, to my colleagues, if you've been monitoring the chat a little more, if there are questions that went unresolved earlier or that deserve some more attention, please bring them to my attention, or any of our prospective students. Again, feel free to unmute and weigh in.
Hey, Dr. Goldman, there was one asking about the interview part of the acceptance process. I don't want to speak to that because I'm not sure if you guys have updated it. It was when I went through, but it wasn't an interview of like yes or no. It was more like a get to know you, your background, to see how you would fit into the program when they were going about putting the cohort together. So
yeah, I'll actually defer to Stephen on that one as our member of our admissions team in the MBA office. Stephen, you want to address that point?
Absolutely. As Catherine pointed out, it is an interview to get to know you. We take very seriously our students and where they're coming from and where they're going. And part of building the teams that Dr. Goldman alluded to earlier is, a PI, so a predictive index. That's part of it, but also what we're able to glean from an interview. So having said all that, I will say we no longer require it. It is not mandatory for you to be considered for admission. However, we offer it. So if you think it would help your chances of getting in, or that there is something that you want to distinguish about yourself with our admissions committee, please feel free. You can reach out to me If you've had any correspondence with Melanie Higgs, I'll put her email in the chat as well. We'd be happy to set that up. It'd probably be between you and myself, Melanie, Vernon Foster, and maybe even Dr. Goldman as well. But
Yeah,
not
I'll just add to that briefly, Stephen. There are certain things that transcripts or letters have a hard time. Somebody who studies communication, those modalities can be somewhat limiting at times of telling the full story, right? And so sometimes the interview helps us, right? It helps us to see where you've been, where you're going, what your aspirations are. And those types of things, I certainly agree. There's a value there if you're interested in saying, look, I know my resume, my background says this, but can I have a chance to explain what I've been through, what I've gone through? I definitely see value in that. So if you're interested, as Stephen said, please take him up on that opportunity.
I had a question, if that's all right.
Please, yeah, go ahead, Lloyd.
Our applications sort of rolling like in for my personal situation, I'd probably be considering a fall of 22 start date. Is there a time that's too early, too late to start thinking about actually applying? Do you see these programs fill up right now?
Go ahead, Stephen.
I'll take a swing at that. Yeah, so the online MBA application for fall of 2022 will be open in August. So you can apply at any point between there and depending on where we're at, I would say early summer. We do have rolling admissions, so we have caps on our programs, right? We can't admit. We'd love to admit 500, but I don't think Zach has the faculty for it. So we do have a cap. As we get close to it, we start notifying people who've got an application in progress. If you're able to, I would say submit a completed application, before December, before the close of December.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we close out tonight? Any other questions or comments on behalf of our team members? Anything else that you all wanted to share before we adjourn?
I also just wanted to say that, like Antigonia and Catherine, my contact information is also out there if you have any questions that you would like to ask as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put that back up on the screen because I think mine is probably easier to find if you go online, but I want to make sure, you have a chance. You heard from some of our current perspectives and former perspectives, but I know at least, and I don't want to speak for the three of them, I think all three would be willing to talk to anybody individually about questions that they might have if you have those. And I know if I send an email to any of those three people, just like we try to respond very quickly, the three of them are typically very quick to respond as well. So again, I want to thank our three speakers. I want to thank you all for being here tonight, for having an interest in our program. Hopefully this session provided some information that addressed some questions that you might have, gives you something to look forward to as part of a future member of our program. We think that this program has the opportunity to really change not just Louisville, but the communities that we're a part of. And I know that seems like an overstatement, but when you have the types of classes and connect the types of people that we have in the College of Business to where you're at in your communities, I just, as somebody who's enthralled and fascinated by the power of relationships and connections, we can really make a difference. And I'm so thankful for the team members that we have on the call tonight who help us to do that, who help us to maintain and deliver this program at the highest level and the highest quality. And I'm thankful for those of you who are prospective students and considering joining us, because we tend to attract some of the best of the best. There's again, a lot of programs out there. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but the University of Louisville has a reputation and we stand by that reputation. We firmly believe in the quality of the education that we deliver, and we're invested in constantly in continuous growth and improvement. It's something that it's embedded in our DNA. And so again, thank you to all who contribute to that. And if there are no other questions, I'll go ahead and adjourn us for the evening and wish you all a great and happy and safe evening. Take care. And we look forward to talking to you very soon.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.